What's up, guys? Zaid here, and today I have a deck profile for you. This is not my deck. This is actually a deck that got 11th place at a regionals, and it looks like it was from New Zealand. The guy that played it was Chevy H. I'm not sure who that is. I haven't been able to find him or anything. So if you're watching this and you're him, hit me up. I also found this scrolling through this Yu-Gi-Oh group called Kami-Yu-Gi-Oh Deck Lists. If I remember to, I'll leave a link to them in the description. I find a lot of cool stuff in there that's worth bringing to you guys to talk about. And if you don't want to check them out, I guess just subscribe to me, and when I see cool stuff, I'll show it to you, So, that being said, not being the maker of this deck, I can't necessarily answer all the questions you might have on the deck, but if you ask the questions in the comments, hopefully this guy finds a video and he'll answer them with us, or for us, and have a discussion, but also, I will try my best to, theorize with you why he would have played certain things and kind of, discuss it if it's something you're interested in. The deck, by the way, is branded Bestial Blue Eyes, it looks like, BBB, and I don't know how many rounds the event was, but he got 11th place, so he's probably had a record of X2 or something. And I'm just going to get right into the list and kind of talk about it. To start, he's got 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon, 2 Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. If you're a Blue Eyes player, you probably know what this card does. I don't, so I'm going to read it real quick. Other cards you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. That card's already really good. You can only use each of the following effects of Blue Eyes Jet Dragon once per turn, and you can only activate them while Blue Eyes White Dragon is on your field or in your graveyard. And already looking at it, I'm assuming this is our target for the Whitestone of Ancients, but I could be mistaken. Back to reading what he does. If a card or cards on the field or in your... If a card or cards on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special this card from your graveyard if it was there when this card was destroyed, and from hand even if not. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles, you can target one card your opponent controls, return it to hand. So when he's on the field, he's going to give you destruction protection. And when it attacks and inflicts damage, I believe. No, just if it battles at the start of the damage step, you can bounce one. The bouncing seems really good in this tier element format where you can bounce fusions as nice removal. He's also pretty big, and I don't think a lot of destruction cards like Dark Hole Regeki are being played that much right now, but it's still nice to have a nice big board that also can't be destroyed by anything, The Despia boards are already kind of hard to deal with. Next, he's got 2 Whitestone of Ancients. This, I'm assuming that the line with this is you send this off branded fusion, and then on the end phase you special jet, which is now going to give you protection. That's just my guess on how this works. Also, if you draw it, the deck has a lot of ways to get rid of it. Then he plays 1 Ecclesia and 1 Fleur-de-Lis. As you see down here, there's also Nadir's Servants and a Punishment. So did I even say Dogmatika when I said all the archetypes? It's BBBD, Blue Eyes Bestial Branded Dogmatika. And then he's got 2 Phone of Albaz, 2 Aluber, 1 Albion, 1 Kit, 1 Mercurier, 2 Lubellion, 2 Bestial Magnamut, 1 Sornier, 1 Druisworm. One thing to note about this monster lineup and the Bestial lineup that I thought was kind of interesting is that I think it's the smallest Bestial package I've ever seen. He only plays 4 of them that are actual hand trap going second cards, and then the 2 Lubellion. Lubellion's always good in a branded deck because if he opens the Whitestone or he opens the Lubellion, he just sends the other one off branded fusion, I'm assuming. That way you get access to both engines. Plus, I guess this doesn't matter in this version because branded fusion locks you to fusions, but it is cool just to note for future builds or something that this is a level 8. So that synergizes a lot with Blue Eyes, and they're typically a rank 8 strategy. It's not coming up here, but again, it's cool to note, And Magnamut though gets to search these cards. It gets to search Jet, it gets to search Ancients, it gets to search Blue Eyes. I don't know if that comes up. Let me know, Chevy, if you're watching this. That was what I said the name was, right? Chevy, like the car? I wonder if I'm even pronouncing it right. It looks like the only way to pronounce it. But dog, if you're watching this, let me know, if that's how, if you often are searching with Magnamut to grab these Blue Eyes cards, or if you're typically adding Albion, or if you're adding other stuff. For the spells, triple branded fusion, 1 Despia Theater of Brandon, 2 opening, 2 high spirits. When we get to the oh wait, actually, yeah, I was about to say when we get to the fusion package, I want to see if there's a good target to use with these Blue Eyes cards. But then I remembered that Albion the branded dragon is a dragon. So you can use spirits, send one of these dragons, which if you're sending Whitestone, it's nuts because you're getting value engrave. And then send the Albion to search for either this, the Kit, the Mercury, or whatever one you need at the time based on the hand. And so that's a really cool way that the Blue Eyes cards and the Bestials are not dead with branded and high spirits. I think if you're going to play spirits, it's got to be like that. If you're playing another engine, you have to be able to send that engine for spirits to consistently want to be playing spirits, you know? Ooh, I felt a little burp coming, but I suppressed his ass. Next, we got branded Regained. Everybody knows this card's crazy. And then branded Lost. Also branded Beast over here for our targets to set off Lubellion, but they all also have branded in the name, so they synergize with the branded stuff. We already went over these Nadir's Servants, but then he also plays Ultimate Fusion. I need to read this card, to be honest, because I remember when I first read it thinking, wow, that card's good. But I haven't read it enough, or it wasn't good enough, I guess, to stick in my brain. But maybe in the context of this deck, it'll be nuts. So it says, during the main phase, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon as material. By shuffling the fusion materials listed on it from your hand, field, or graveyard into the deck, then you can destroy face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of Blue Eyes White Dragon and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon used from the field as material. You can only activate one Ultimate Fusion per turn. Does Jet count as Blue Eyes? No. Because I know some of the Blue Eyes cards do, like Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, the one that banishes a spell trap when it's summoned. That counts as Blue Eyes on the field. So if this did too, that would have been really cool, but sadly it doesn't. So it looks like you're only getting a pop if you're using the Blue Eyes White Dragon. But if you were trying to set this card up, say you have this set and you plan on popping on their turn, you'd use your White Stone of Ancients to special Blue Eyes instead of special Jet. When we get to the fusions, I'm going to have to read the targets for this. It looks, I'll just read it right now. Who's going to stop me? Nobody. Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon appears to be the only target. Does it say? Yeah, it has to mention Blue Eyes. So I was going to say if it didn't have to mention it, you could summon like Albion, but nope. So this card must either be fusion summoned or specialed from the extra by tributing a Blue Eyes White Dragon equipped with a fusion monster. So it's only going to be summoned off the Ultimate Fusion. Now I don't see that ever happening. Somehow equipping a Blue Eyes with a dragon monster or a fusion monster. This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. Once per turn at the end of the damage step, if this card battled, target a spell trap in your graveyard and set it to your spell and trap zone. Okay, so this is also 3,400 beater. So this card is kind of nuts. If say you go first and you set the Ultimate Fusion, you do what I said with like the White Stone, you special the Blue Eyes, you use this on their turn, you're going to get a pop. And if they aren't immediately able to address this card, when the turn rolls back to you, it can attack a bunch of times, and if it doesn't go for lethal, it can reset your spell traps. And that seems very good in a deck playing cards like Nadir's Servant, Branded Fusion, cards that give you an immense amount of value for one activation. So this does seem like a really interesting card. Like, I doubt there's a better Blue Eyes Fusion to play. You probably picked the right one here, you know? Back to the main deck, though, he's also playing a Dogmatika Punishment to go with his Dogmatika package. The Branded Retribution. I personally love this card. For a while, people didn't play it. I think it's pretty standard now. But a thing to note with this card, if you guys don't know what it does, the main effect is that you can quick effect banish it from the grave, return a branded spell trap from your grave to your hand. But it also has the effect that when a spell trap or monster effect is activated that includes an effect that special summons a monster, return to the extra deck a face-up fusion you control, or two fusions in the graveyard that mention Fallen of Albaz, negate the activation, destroy that card. This is really good in a tier element format because as long as you have the materials to return, you can negate the tier element effects in grave. That plus Magnemot's going to deal with most of their turn. It's very, very powerful. And also, like, going into Kashtira tier format, it also stops stuff like Papyrus, like the most powerful spells in the deck, Papyrus Birth. They both summon monsters. This can address those, and that's the bad effect of the card. The bad effect has relevant uses against all the main archetypes in the format now and in the format later. Sprite Starter, negate, you thought, you know? Like, it's really good. And then he plays 3 Skill Drain, 2 Imperm. Skill Drain's really cool in this deck because, like, the big-ass beaters from both engines. And then also Skill Drain with Mirror Jade is nuts because Mirror Jade uses its effect, sends for cost, doesn't resolve, and now you can activate it the next turn because it didn't resolve. So you can constantly be dumping Albions and stuff. And then the Imperm, I think it's interesting. He only plays 6 hand traps total, 4 Bestials, 2 are Imperm, but a lot of his cards do have applications going second. Like, you can almost count Nadir's Servant as a going second card. Not really, because you can't do it first to disrupt boards, but you can start playing with Branded and then finish picking the board apart with the Nadir's Servant. But it seems like his main deck is probably stronger going first. I'm kind of interested in if he agrees with that assessment, that he'd like obviously much rather go first, or if he feels like this list can really push through boards. But it looks like the side deck's got a lot to supplement that too. But before I get to the side, I'm going to jump to the extra deck, We already covered the Tyrant Dragon. He plays Titaniclad, the Ash Dragon. This is not standard in lists anymore, but he's playing the Dogmatika package, so it's super standard. Its main effect is that I believe it's unaffected by monster effects or cards. Unaffected by the activated effects of other monsters. And then also, it gains attack equal to the levels of what's used to fusion it. But I'm assuming the main effect he uses is when it's in the graveyard during the end phase, you can special summon Fallen of Albaz or Dogmatika. So you can dump this off of Mirror Jade, end phase, special summon Ecclesia, search Fleur-de-Lis. Now you have a negate on the next turn. Or like you have a lot of damage on your turn. And then he's got the Albaz Lenatus, the Abyss Dragon, takes Fallen of Albaz plus one or more dragons. This, I doubt he's fusion summoning a lot. But maybe, actually, now that I think about it. Because this... Oh, it only uses 2 from deck. I thought maybe you could use as many dragons from deck as you wanted. I don't know how often he'd actually be fusion summoning this card. But it might just be for the effect to add a polymerization normal or fusion normal spell from deck to hand. And then he's got the Brigand the Glory Dragon, which on the end phase is going to search Mercurier. He's got 2 Albion, 1 Lubellion. I'm assuming the reason for 2 Albion is obviously it's got a good grave effect to send off Mirror Jade, but also I'm assuming also these might be wrong assumptions to make about the deck. So again, dude, if you're watching, let me know. But I'm assuming he's making this more at the branded fusion so that he could dump stuff like the White Stone of Ancients and shit. I feel like that's what gives branded fusion the ability to synergize with the Blue Eyes cards. 1 Lubellion, you probably still need this card. This card's crazy. You want it to set up Darks and Grave. You want it for more fusions. Then 2 Mirror Jade, 1 Cordylis, 1 Masquerade, then Garura. This, you see, there's not super polys or anything in here. I mean, maybe he could fusion summon this technically using Lubellion or Albion, but I doubt that's ever happening. I think these 3 next cards, this, Natis, and Omega, are just for the Nadir's Servant. This lets you draw a card off Nadir's. This lets you pop a card off Nadir's. This lets you shuffle from grave off Nadir's. So this card becomes like a very, very versatile card with all those choices. Then he plays 1 Salamangreat Almirage. I am also assuming this is for bad hands where you have to summon White Stone of Ancients and you don't have access to Branded Fusion. That's my prediction on that. I don't even think there's another normal summon that fits the bill. It's 15 or less, right? 1,000 or less. So yeah, I think... that's the only... Oh, Mercurier technically, which still could come up if you like normal summon Mercurier, link it into Almirage, Magnamut effect, banish Mercurier, special the Magnamut trigger to search on the end phase, and then Mercurier trigger to search like Albion or something. So there's still going to be practical uses to Almirage that away, but those are the only summons. So, I mean, I think it's a safe assumption that's what he uses it for. And then for the side deck, I'm going to move this over here because I think they go together. He's got a Necro World Banshee and then these 2 Zombie Worlds. This is, I'm assuming, predominantly for Fluanderies. There's probably other matchups it's good in. I couldn't tell you them off the top of my head. Then he's got Ra's Disciple and Branded Expulsion. This lets you tribute a fusion, then target 2 non-fusions that are banished or in either graveyard. Special both monsters, 1 to each side of the field. Then if you tributed a monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz, you can special both to your field. But the reason you do this with Ra, if you guys don't know already, I don't think this is actually seen much play in the TCG, so you might not know it, but I think it's relevant in Master Duel. This card says you cannot special summon monsters except by the effect of Ra's Disciple. So if you give this to the opponent, they cannot special summon monsters outside of the effect of Ra's Disciple. Next, he's got 1 Pankratops. Cool card, 1 of, gotta draw it, but it's cool. Then triple Droplet, presumably for going second. Triple D-Barrier, presumably for going first. And triple Evenly Matched for going second. Let me know what you guys think of the list. If you have questions, ask away, and we can like really theory this out together. Because if this guy don't show up and tell us how this deck works, that's all we can really do is talk to each other and try to figure out why he played what he played. If you have suggestions on the list, let me know. And thank you guys for watching.